And we're back, everyone. Once again, we just ended up finishing game two with watching Rampage bring it back in an incredible fashion right there at the end. This is once again Joshua Joshi Howard coming at you live with Zenza Nelson, bringing you all the LGL action live right here from Seattle.
Yeah, and what a story it has been between these two teams, Rampage and Detonation. Storied history, to be sure. And now going into game three, all tied up. Rampage with a bit of a comeback win there, able to scale up that Utori Miyasi Tristana and just take over the game in one fell swoop. It was definitely exciting. We'll have to see if they're going to be able to repeat their performance going into game three.
And you were saying between the games that you were thinking that Jarvan and Maokai, especially since we had the tankier build coming out on that Jarvan, perhaps overestimated their damage. They were definitely posturing in that last fight in order to potentially kill Tristana and Talia, but they just did not have the damage to do it. Instead, they got locked down and blown up with the incredible sustained damage that both of those two champions are able to bring out. We do see right now Zeros coming out from the interview right here, current ADC for Burning Core, former AD carry for Detonation Focus Me, in their 0-3 loss to Rampage at the spring finals. He's welcome back here to talk a little bit about what happened during the game. Unfortunately, we can't understand his opinion, but I'm sure it's interesting.
Yeah, always have struggle about commentating the LJL. I took 3 years of Japanese in high school. Went straight out of one ear and straight through the other. Unfortunately, best I can do is Domo Arigato and
Mr. Roboto.
Ohio. That's like the extent of my Japanese knowledge. But still, always great to see the players weigh in with their professional opinions on these matches as they happen.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what adaptations we're going to see coming out in the next game. Both teams looked way more comfortable in that game than they did in game one, especially for Rampage. We saw a lot more coming out from Rampage, especially in the mid lane. Ramane was able to step up quite a bit, do the damage he needed to do, and we saw him play a lot more aggressively in ways that we didn't necessarily expect from him.
Right. And playing more to their strengths, I think, on both teams. Rampage coming back to a comfort pick with the Tristana, no longer trying out something new with the Corki. Ramane felt much better on that champion and was able to influence the map with a couple of great Weaver's Wall. I also think that the adaptation of banning Elise was interesting. Like I said, I sort of expected the Heimerdinger to be the ban of choice for Rampage, but they opted to ban the Elise. But that turned out working very well for them. Steel did not feel as impactful that game on that Jarvan. Perhaps because of just sort of the way that the compositions rounded out. They wanted to flex pick for top lane, moved him into that jungle role, and then because of that, they didn't have like an aggressive frontline threat, and that sort of turned out to be their downfall for Detonation Focus Me. And so I wonder, going into game three, with the knowledge of those first two games, what sort of adaptations do you make with your jungle pick and your mid lane pick if you're Detonation Focus Me?
Yeah, it was interesting to see, watching Evie play that Rumble because he had a lot of issues towards the beginning of the game, and then he seemed to find his stride towards the end, able to just push the Archie. And even though none of the ultimates were super great Rumble ultimates, the fact that he was just using them at all was just an immense improvement. I I don't expect to see a Rumble ban or a whole lot of playing around it. Perhaps not picking the Jarvan as early in the draft this time because it is not a great matchup up against that Rumble. It's okay, but you are very reliant on having another jungler to come up and really punish Rumble after level 6 to just prevent him from escaping after he's already used his flash. And it just requires a lot of attention that I don't think they want to necessarily be putting towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, I think what I want to see out of this draft phase is I want to see, from the side of Detonation Focus Me, I want to see them return to either a more aggressive jungler or a more comfortable jungler. Perhaps we could see the Elise again was fantastic if it gets let through. I think Steel looked very good on a champion, and I wouldn't mind seeing that again from him. I'm also curious if Sejuani is going to be picked up in this series. Now, Sejuani, did receive that mini rework several patches ago. Has been tested around, nerfed, buffed several times since then. Um, haven't really seen her too much in this meta, but is a champion that Steel can absolutely pick up and find success with, and that would give them a good solid go button, which I think would help the team quite a bit. Over on Rampage's side, I think that I want to see them uh, continue to find ways to play around Heimerdinger. Saros is still a huge threat, and that Heimerdinger has not quite been matched yet. Talia seemed to fare better for Ramune. He was able to get that extra move speed from the worked ground, which will let him dodge the missiles a little bit easier, as well as having better wave clear than Corki. So that seemed like a step in the right direction. But I'd like to see them shut Saros down even further if they're able to.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. We'll probably see Rampage on the red side again. Because one of the things that we've seen so impactful for Detonation Focus Me historically has been Paz's ability to split push, particularly on the character Fiora early in the split when he was able to just go push down in the bottom lane and threaten to kill the opposing top laner while the rest of his team did stand around the Baron. And simply the side that they're on, just being on the blue side, means that that is a very limited option. They can't really do that nearly as well because it's a little bit closer. You don't need to necessarily use your teleport quite as much, whereas if you do it while you're on red side, then it is an incredibly far distance, and it does force to either choose to fight for the Baron or to try and defend the inhibitor. And it's one of those impossible situations that we saw used very effectively several times throughout. I believe it was mostly in Worlds 2013, where it was an incredibly popular strategy to use.
Right, and both top laners have success with this sort of powerful split push killing, turret killing champions. Evie also has not been able to play Camille this series thus far. Has been banned out away from him because of the respect given to that champion. As we go back into the ban phase, Rampage once again banning the Ziggs. Do not want to see Saros on the champion, which I think is a smart choice.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. With the Cho'Gath ban is an interesting change. We haven't seen that banned out quite yet by Rampage before, but Detonation Focus Me is banning a lot of ADCs. They're not putting the ban on Camille quite yet, and I wonder if they're going to let that through. Baiting a little bit, they must have a lot of stock in that with the Elise ban coming out. If they let that through, they need to either say, Rampage, you need to pick this, or we're going to take it away and let Paz play it.
I'm a little bit curious on focus on Lucian as a ban. I mean, Callista has been a meta champion in the last couple, in this last patch,
Camille's
certainly,
through.
but Lucian, has sort of been on a downward trend. He does okay, and Utori is certainly a fantastic player of that champion, but I'm surprised that they haven't swapped that over to the Tristana, which has seemed to be his pick of choice for the series at the very least. And also uh, leaving the Camille up will allow Rampage to consider it, but they opt to pick up the Rakan. They do not want to see the Xayah Rakan combo come out of Detonation Focus Me once more, so they'll split them up here.
Yeah, it's a very interesting decision right there. Now, Detonation Focus Me has the choices. Do they want to take something away from the Camille? We've seen counters to Camille, particularly the Jax, has been very good against that champion. Or do they want to grab a couple of power picks? Now, Maokai is definitely a very strong pick. They ended up picking up the Xayah as well. Again, not wanting to give over the combo of the characters to Rampage, instead splitting them up there. But now Rampage is right back to the option. Do they want to pick up the Camille again? And it seems like they're almost daring each other, just kind of like a mutually assured destruction kind of thing. If they do pick it, I think Rampage at this point is likely to pick it. They either have to pick it with Ramene's pick, or they're not going to see it because I think Detonation Focus Me is not going to be willing to play chicken the entire draft phase.
Yeah, and the tricky part for Rampage here pick that Camille in this draft pick that will open up Detonation Focus Me for the option to pinch down on Ramene's champion pool. Remember, this is a guy who only plays like about five-ish champions, at a competitive level. And with the Galio already banned, we could see some target bans come out onto perhaps the Karma and the Talia as we move into the second half of this draft phase. It does look like Rampage is going to secure Tristana for Yutora Miyasi, which I think is a solid option. Um, Prevents Detonation from banning that away and ensures that they have a late game threat moving.
That's a very interesting support being picked up by Detonation Focus Me. It is a good support, a lot of turret diving, a lot of aggression possible coming from that character, as well as the Ardent Sensor being an okay pickup on the character to pair with that Zaya. But we haven't seen Ardent Sensor coming out of them yet, and it's still a very strong item in patch 7.15. But with the Camille coming out as another ban, Detonation Focus Me is willing to say, we've given you this much opportunity, we're not going to let you have another crack at that.
Right. And let's see how Rampage adjusts their ban choices. Still opting to ban out the Shen from Cause. Really don't want him on a split pushing champion. And Detonation Focus Me going to be the one to ban Rumble here. Don't want to see that either out of Evi, which is interesting. I mean, like you said, I also felt that the Rumble was not particularly stellar out of Evi, but it did the job moving into the mid to late game, and it does give Maokai an issue in the early game,
Oh,
so that ban does
Heimerdinger.
seem warranted. And Rampage will go ahead and ban out the Heimerdinger as their final ban, preventing Saros from playing that champion once again, which I like that choice as well.
Yeah, and we do see the Sejuani being hovered here. I do think that's an interesting choice right here because it definitely means that Paz will take the Maokai up into the top lane, meaning that Rampage has a little bit more flexibility with their picks here because they can counter pick the Maokai knowing it's there. They just have to blind pick their mid lane right now, and there's still the Talia available. That's something Ramne is very happy to play into just about any matchup. There's no particularly bad matchups that Saros is likely to play. He doesn't really play LeBlanc particularly well. He doesn't play Zed a whole lot. He's not known for his assassin play. So we'll likely see that picked up right here. Potentially Orianna as another option as well. A great combination with the Jarvan. But it does leave the question, like, what is Detonation Focus Me thinking by... Oh.
All right, so let's talk about this from Rampage's side. They pick up the Trundle, which is an absolutely fantastic pickup against this Detonation Focus Me team composition. Detonation Focus Me has three very beefy, very strong frontline tank characters that don't do a lot of damage by themselves, but can absolutely secure a battle line and protect the mid laner as well as the AD carry. Trundle is fantastic against that because you can steal the stats of them much weaker, so you can tear them down. And then opting for Corki, who has this mid-game power spike that you might be able to abuse. I'm a little bit worried about that, given that Ramone did not have a particularly stellar game on Corki in Game 1. But he does have some leeway now since they are tied 1-1. Does have yet another opportunity to play that champion. Is currently sitting on Teleport, actually, which could be an interesting choice for him. Meanwhile, it does look like Saros going to lock in that Zillion for himself with the extra movement speed. So an interesting adaptation from both teams here as we shake out into Game 3 with this champion select.
Yeah, we did see Zillion come into play the last time these two guys did face each other in Week 10. Just being able to play a very slow team fight like they do have here once again. Just whenever somebody goes low, they're able to move in and out. They have plenty of crowd control, plenty of mobility to just keep these fights going for a long time, meaning that when someone does finally get worn down and they get brought back to life at full health, it's very impactful. You're basically playing with a sixth member of your team most of the time, and when that is enough, when the fights are going so evenly otherwise, just being able to bring that player back is a huge advantage. Right now, though, we'll have to see if Rampage is able to bring out enough damage. We saw a much tankier versus Jarvan coming out last game. It'll be interesting to see how Tussle chooses to build this champion this game as we start to move into the Rift.
Right. It's going to be a tough battle as both teams have one game under their belts but are out for blood. Only one can be crowned LJL champion, and they both want it real bad.
And let's use that to talk about the stakes a little bit for this series. The winner of this series not only takes the crown back, or keeps it in Rampage's case, but they do get to go to Worlds 2017, which is a huge it is a huge opportunity for both these teams. Rampage was the last one to go internationally at the midseason invitational. Both these teams got to play a little bit at Rift Rivals, where they absolutely dominated against the GPL and the OPL, but they both want more opportunities now to
Ooh.
keep going and continue to play internationally, get more practice against teams that aren't each other as they start to move forward, and it's going to be something really big. Steel taking a little bit of damage right here as Romney starts to move forward with the rest of his team. Dara might be caught out a little bit here. I don't think they know that he's there, so he should be alright. Does not yet have anything skilled. They do spot him out here. Uh-oh.
Oh,
No, not going to choose to
okay.
use that flash quite yet. That could have been a very interesting thing without a whole lot of follow-up damage, as Steel and Saros were too far away. Just going to be content with taking away this red buff here for Tussle.
Yeah, interesting adaptation from both teams as we move into game three. Detonation Focus Me looking to make an aggressive play. It does look like they will be spotted out, however, uh, by the Maokai. So Rampage knows what's up and will be able to adapt accordingly. We'll have to see where Steel opts to take the rest of his jungle path, knowing that his red buff has been taken.
Yeah, and it does look like he's going to go towards the Gromp. Sejuani is not the fastest jungler these days. Tussle does manage to keep these away from the bomb, not getting a little bit of extra damage there, just going to be able to take that back. But Sejuani does have the option to go towards the bottom side of the map, pick up the red buff, or potentially make a repeat gank, but instead he's going to continue farming out his bottom side of the jungle, while the rest of his lanes kind of get pushed in right now as Trundle returns to the top lane, couple CS ahead, and Paz and Saros just struggling a little bit, knowing that Tussle is somewhere on the top half and they can't play nearly as aggressively.
Yeah, and this middle lane dynamic is thing because the last time that we saw Ramune play Corki, it did not end well for him, but that was in large part to the pressure given out by Zerost's Heimerdinger. In this case, though, the early push is easily won by Corki, as Zeros doesn't have the mana or the damage to clear the waves with Time Bomb, and so Ramune has an opportunity here to really sort of flaunt his strength, and you can see it already. Um, Good dodge of the time bombs there, just able to put a lot of pressure on this turret and free up his jungler to make plays elsewhere on the map.
And his support coming in. They're starting to get some good wards around the map, and they're playing this much stronger in the early game on the blue side than they were on the red side previously. Dara uses the blast cone, gets back over to the wall, doesn't lose a whole lot of time as they just get back to creating a crazy amount of pressure across the map. Every lane currently up in CS, even if just a small amount, and Romney doing a good job of pushing in Saros.
Yeah, and we see now Steel looking to make a play, does get spotted out by the Tribush ward that Evie has placed down. Um,
Ooh, good damage there.
Ramune
Saros
doing
is
some
starting to go
trimming.
forward. These minions are doing a lot of damage to Saros. I'm not sure that was the best idea. We see him pop a potion right there, but with no defensive summoners except for the flash available to Ramne, he does need to back out, knowing that Saros is somewhere on the top half of the map once again.
Yeah, and now both junglers spotting each other out there a little bit. Not going to see a whole lot of exciting stuff. Steel does get the worst part of that level, that first sort of clear. Did not able was not able to recoup. I speak words good, I promise. Was not able to recoup the loss of the red buff, and so will be forced to go back at level 3, giving Tussle a slight edge here. And Tussle looking to continue that, knows the Raptor spawn since he cleared it earlier. This might be a bit of a scuffle here.
Yeah, Saros is here. Here comes Tussle over, going to find his way onto steal, but taking a lot of damage from this right here. Does get stunned up, does get, oh, good flashing away from the other stun. He might get re-stunned right here, but here comes Ramune trying to get the last bit of damage onto steal. First blood goes over to Tussle, and Ramune is blocking Saros, preventing him from getting anywhere near that last time bomb. Tussle walks away with a sliver of health. Fantastic flash away from the time bomb right there, keeping him alive.
Yeah, at first I was very worried for Tussle. I felt like that was an overplay that Steel had read out quite well, but able to outplay Detonation Focus Me in the 2v2, secure a kill for himself and the Raptor, and put himself further ahead in this jungle matchup.
Yeah, good job, Saros there, clearing all the waves. We do see, again, a bunch of CS leads coming out for all of Rampage across every single lane. Corki choosing to go back, pick up a Cold, just to keep himself, to potentially push farther ahead, as Saros will struggle to continue clearing these waves, picking up a second Doran's Ring to get a little bit of extra mana regen. Remember, the passive on the killing minions does not stack anymore, but still way more mana regen than he would get with any other item.
Yeah, both top laners happy to use their teleports immediately uh, in order to return to this lane. They don't want to lose out on any experience or CS they can avoid to. Additionally, the first dragons
Ooh,
probably won't happen for a little bit here, so they're happy to trade it out. Evie actually taking a bunch of damage from the minions does not actually win that trade. Will be able to heal up from the passive, but not quite strong enough to bully out Paz just yet.
this is interesting. Tussle's coming in here to push in the wave right now, but Saros is already level 6. Ramune is a little bit low on mana. The blue buff will be spawning fairly soon, but it does give them a lot of pressure to come back. Ah, that makes sense. They're coming back to come get the red buff, which they took earlier in the game. And with the extra pressure in the mid lane, as well as Evie starting to come in from the top side, they should be able to secure this red buff once again, keep themselves very safe. And good rotations coming off from Tussle. I was a little confused, but I understand.
You get it now. Yeah, Rampage doing a very good job of controlling Steel. That's really been the story of the game thus far, and it's allowed them a minuscule gold lead. Just the combination of having a winning pushing lane in both mid and top allows Tussle to do so much more with this Jarvan. He's able to secure two red buffs, two raptors, and now looking for a blue buff from his opponent, just absolutely counter jungling and abusing the Sejuani's weak early game.
And Steel right now has only picked up a single buff for himself, and that is the one blue buff that he got at the very beginning of the game, forced away from his own, and now it looks like Tussle's going to go back and pick up not only his jungle, or excuse me, not only Steel's jungle, but his own jungle as well. Uh-oh, good pulverize coming out here from Yutori, trying to find another stun, not going to be able to quite find it, needs one more auto attack. Oh, we're going to jump to the top side. Here comes the ultimate. Avi's going underneath the turret, taking a lot of damage from it right there, but doing a lot of damage to Paz in return and getting a lot of health back from that ultimate. A lot of fighting across the map all at once. Paz is forced to use the flash. And with Tussle on that Jarvan, we know what's going to be coming up very soon.
Yeah, and Evie feels very confident, able to put down some additional damage on this turret because of that ward that was placed there by Dara. Spotting out Steel on the bottom half of the map means that Evie can take this extra wave with no trouble at all and put himself further ahead in this lane.
Beautiful
Detonation,
early macro game coming up from Rampage.
yeah, Detonation Focus Me is in a bit of trouble here. Because they're so far pushed back in all of their lanes except the bottom, they don't. Steel doesn't have a lot of options left available to him. You know, he's constantly warded out. He can't necessarily beat Tussle in a 1v1 at this moment. And now we've reached a point where Evie is scaled up to a point where he should start to push out Paz. So it's going to be trickier and trickier to navigate the next 5 minutes for Detonation Focus Me. They need to find a gank in the bottom lane or perhaps an advantage in the middle lane in order to turn the tides of this game before it gets too crazy.
Yeah, and good damage going on to Romney right there from Saros, preventing him from doing too much. But he does have the package available, pushing it out, starting to move towards the top side of the map. They do clear out a lot of the vision. Tussle knows this, and that's why we see him moving up, spots out Tussle on the ward right there. Romney is looking for the 3-man dive right here. Saros has the teleport available as well as his ultimate, so this could be difficult to do, especially since they don't know Steel's there quite yet. They do see him now. Here comes the teleport. They're going to have to back off as the teleport does come out. Jumps away with a flag and drag, not stopped at all by that root right there. Does not count as a movement ability for I don't know what reason, but it's been like that for a couple of seasons. I remember distinctly a couple of discussions we had about this and Lux's binding, but we do see Steel coming up, trying to find his way onto Evie. As the Bramble Vest is picked up by Paz. That is a good pickup right here, particularly in this matchup that is so sustain-based. Trying to prevent your opponent from getting nearly as much back off of that. Tussle's in a bad
Oh
spot
my
right here.
god.
Doesn't
This is
realize he's on a
this
ward.
is disgusting. Tussle, I mean, he's on this ward, might get in a little bit of trouble, but look
Oh,
at how long
whew.
it took. Will have to form the flash to avoid the ultimate of Sejuani. But how long he delayed Saros Steel from getting back into the positions that they wanted to be in. Steel still down so much CS. Lost Raptors a third time to Tussle, a full level down. And without ultimate, unable to really make anything happen in this bottom lane either.
And that's a big deal here. We see so many times that the jungle, as it's currently worked, does mean that the junglers stay pretty even in, in experience for most of the game due to the lower levels of your champion being paired with the higher levels of the jungle, meaning you rebound very quickly. But just being able to stay ahead so consistently here from Tussle is really paying so many dividends as we start to see this gold lead blossom into a 3,000 gold lead already with only a single kill on the map.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Steel finds Dara right here, getting a lot of damage. Forced to use the quickness to try and get away. No ultimate available from Steel, meaning there's no crowd control left.
yeah. A little bit of unfortunate timing for Rampage there. Just, Steel going for a routine check at the bottom lane catches out Dara a little bit. But Tussle, what a monster, taking the third red buff away from Steel and now looking for a gank in this middle lane.
They're trying to surprise him, not going to be able to find it. Does throw another time bomb right back onto it. But oh, here we go. Vivid's going in. He has no mana left. This is an interesting fight. He won't have the Unbreakable Will, getting a good amount of damage as they get the explosive shot onto Utapone. Not getting the reset on the jump quite yet, but Steel's coming down. He's got plenty of health and plenty of mana. Tussle sees this, spots it down, and is going to instead pick up this Scuttle Crab. Should be able to secure it pretty easily. Higher level smite. Nothing coming out from Steel. And that was interesting engage coming out from Vivid.
Yeah, DFM, Vivid thought that he could make a play happen with the WQ combo. Xayah traditionally a stronger dueling champion in the laning phase over the sort of scaling power of Tristana. However, Utapon not able to follow up on that CC, and Yutori able to target down Utapon with an explosive shot actually ends up winning the trade. Steel does finally secure another blue buff for himself, able to give that over to Saros.
Interesting use of the ultimate there from Paz. It is not going to stop this from going down as we do see the first brick going over to Rampage. Evie making sure it bounces as hard as possible to prevent as much CS from Paz as he can. Still has the teleport available. We do see Paz already using it, but big CS advantages coming out in every lane. And right now, the bot lane for both teams is very weak. Neither of them have backed yet, so they're both sitting on a ton of gold. Meaning that whatever happens here, these guys will probably be the least impactful part of it. Steel does get spotted out by the ward, but with Tussle on the other side doing the Rift Herald, Rampage is going to have to back away from the bot lane, cede a little bit of CS. Steel, is he going to get a red buff?
The legendary, is that the legendary red buff? Will he get it though? Dara's looking to contest it. That's a knockup. Yutori's on the other side of the wall, looking to defend.
And it does reset.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And Tussle takes... What an absolute masterclass in jungle control Rampage is showing this game. Like, it's astonishing. Steel has been doing everything that he can to try and break this defense, and he just can't find a way in. And it's paying so many dividends. A 5,000 gold lead for Rampage now, and they haven't even had more than one kill.
Yeah, they did pick up the
That's
turret.
crazy.
Yutori is going to have to back away a little bit. We do see Utapone starting to come back, but look at that. We see Utapone back because nothing's happened in the bot lane. It's kind of its own island. We've seen a couple of engages coming out from Vivid, who we generally regard as the stronger laning support of the two. Dar's a little bit better at roaming around, but here we go. Evi's coming in on Saros. He's going to have to use ultimate here in just a moment. No, he's going to use the flash first. Interesting choice right there. He would have been able to heal up a very large amount, and without the pillar coming out a second time, I don't know. Interesting choice. He's obviously a much better Zealand player than either of us. But it does mean that we're going to see everybody back away. We see Yutori go back, pick up an entire static shiv and a BF sword to compete with Utapone's Essence Reaver as they do come out right here. Dragon still on the table, though. It's just
Evie and Tussle doing their best to take every advantage that they can and continue to squeeze their lead as best they can. Evie, having taken that top lane turret, allows him to rotate down in the middle lane and threaten Saros, forces Flash, and now Tussle...
Oh, no, another Rift Herald blocked again. Vivid's on the wrong side right here. Package is used to try and block him out. The Cataclysm does come out. He has no flash left available, and Yutori should pick this up. No, it's going over to Ramune, and Utapone's going to have to run for the hills as well. Comes out the Featherstorm. Tussle
from Evie.
Does not have anything left. Oh, Pillar comes out, trying to come forward. No flash available. That's another kill. Lots of damage coming out from the turret, but here comes double teleport. Saros and Paz do find their way over here. Here comes the ultimate. Yutori is in a bit of a bad spot. Uses the heal early. Paz is very tanky still with the Bramble Vest, preventing him from taking too much damage. We do see that Ramune went back to the mid lane. Another stun landing on Yutori. A little bit more damage. He gets blown up as another time bomb comes out here. Another tower does go down. Evie's trying to move forward onto Saros. He still has ultimate available, just trying to get him to use it. And a very long, very back and forth fight does end up resulting in a turret being broken by Rampage. Currently 2-0 and extending their gold lead to around 6,000.
Yeah, what a weird series of events. Despite Vivid able to interrupt the channel and prevent the use of that Rift Herald, Rampage comes out ahead of that, picking up a turret as well as a couple kills there. Really committing very hard to find the kill on a Utapon after they take down Vivid. Will eventually trade kills 2-2, but an advantage for Rampage nonetheless.
Yeah, we do see. We'll take a look one more time here as I start to move forward. The Blade Caller doesn't come out until never, actually. It takes way too long at that point. Nobody can be stunned up right here. And Yutori playing with fire just a little bit too much. Good stun comes out from Saros there, but he's not giving enough respect over to the Zillion and how powerful it really is. Good time bomb right there onto the minion, paired with a second one, getting the wide stun, which a lot of players don't look for, but instantly blown up as another time bomb does go off, and he took damage from 4 of them during that fight, and that is way too much to be taking in this stage of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about in the pregame, Saros truly a master of many, many champions, and proving it with his Zillion play. Making a lot of subtle things there that you wouldn't expect to see. You know, most people would go for the immediate double bomb directly on a champion, but Saros recognizes that, hey, I can use my minions too. RPG, though, flexing for this top lane. Detonation focused me trying to defend.
Yeah, it'll be difficult for them. Now, the real difficulty will be for Rampage if they don't continue to extend this gold lead, currently sitting at just under 6,000 gold. They're going to struggle to burst through Saros' ultimate. If they can't blow up Utapon, who is the majority of detonation focus means damage, they're going to have to blow through him 3 times. Uh-oh, here we go. See a fight right here. Quickness comes out. Tussle goes right back in. Cataclysms, 2 people in, but they're the tankiest members. Dara is not doing a lot of damage. Yutori doesn't find the last bit, and there's no mana left on Ramune. He's coming in. He doesn't have the mana for anything. Trying to find the Blade Caller onto anyone. Steel's able to get right back out. Tussle's finding his way onto Steel here, but with the ultimate coming out from Zillion, the are not able to get the kill credit for it. Instead, just force them away. And that was a bizarre teleport coming out from Corki. Yeah, he has auto attacks, but you're a spellcaster, and with no mana, you don't get to cast spells.
Yeah, Rampage playing a little bit fast and loose there. They really wanted to commit to try and get an advantage there for that top tier turret, but not quite able to find the damage that they wanted to. Saros able to rotate up with the extra speed from Zillion, as well as Steel, able to defend that turret with no problem at all, and forces the flash out of both Utori and Ramune, which could be huge as this game continues.
Yeah, I did not like that teleport one bit. Maybe it was a threat. It's like, oh, it's actually Evie coming. And that's who I thought it was initially. But now Evie's going to be able to pick up this Ocean Dragon at the 21-minute mark. Finally picking that up. Not as useful, not necessarily as useful here in the mid game, as we will see more explosive team fighting as it necessarily is in the laning phase. But great nonetheless. We'll have to see what the next one is. It is going to be a Cloud Drake as our next one coming forward. But right now, Rampage is happy to pick up any advantages they can. Still sitting around that 6,000 gold lead. Gonna start pushing in one more time. Go for a repeat right here, except without flashes. Dara does take a bit of damage, trades it back with Steel. And Evie on the bottom half of the map is just going to be able to push in up against Paz, prevent him from using that teleport. Because Paz is definitely going to be a little bit more impactful during these team fights than Evie will on this Trundle.
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting to see as we transition in the mid game how these uh, games tend to shake out. It looks like Rampage is looking to set up a 1-3-1 where they have Tristana as well as Rakan and Jarvan push one lane, and then they have Evie split in the bottom lane against Paz, with Ramune in the middle lane roaming and wave clearing against Saros. But thus far, Detonation Focus Me actually has a pretty good way to match that. I mean, Paz will never win a team fight against Evie in any sense. Evie's just a stronger carry champion. But Saros clears waves faster in the middle lane, and in the top lane, the combination of CC between Steel, Vivid, and Utapon is much, much scarier than anything that Rampage can put together. So they have to play around that and adapt their strategy a little bit moving forward.
Yeah, we do see that Rampage is giving plenty of respect. That we see the Quicksilver Sash coming out from Utori a little bit early here. Keep himself safe from the Glacial Prison. Steel's going on to Tussle, getting some damage. And we do see a very different build coming out from Tussle's Jarvan than we saw on Steel. Opting for the Warrior Enchant as well as the Spectre's Cowl and a Chain Vest. A lot of different things that can be built out of this. Potentially a Spirit Visage is a bit of an interesting choice. But they are going to be moving around. Get another Pink Ward down. Dara is trying to keep them safe on the flank. We're kind of stabilizing right here as Rampage is just willing to slowly get damage onto everything. Tussle trying to take another buff right here. Steel does get the stun. Has the ultimate available. Is not willing to throw it out quite yet. Tussle's going to keep coming back in as the red buff is finally started up. But not going to be a huge fight for it. Trying to pull Saros away, it feels. Uh-oh, Steel does get it. Vivid goes in, gets the knock-up onto Tussle. He's going to flag and drag right on out of there. But we see so much damage going in. Find their way onto Ramune. Force a Valkyrie out very quickly. But Utori does get so much damage, and here we see Tussle get locked up by the Glacial Fission already. Just gonna back away.
Yeah, Rampage pushing their luck there. It's difficult at this stage in the game to crack the base of Detonation Focus Me because Saros is so powerful on the Zillion. You know, very solid CS, has reached the point at which he basically clears waves with 2 time bombs. And so it's tough. And he can also rotate between lanes quickly, either with the move speed. So Rampage having a really tough time in that middle and top lane. And meanwhile, it does look like bottom lane has stabilized as well. Evie not quite able to find the advantage. Paz has a sufficient amount of armor that Evie not quite able to really damage this guy too much.
Yeah, we see Evie going, a little bit low every single time they are fighting. Oh, Ramune is getting caught out a little bit by the time rewinder or the slow coming out from Zillion on Saros, taking a little bit of damage. But we do see a couple of interesting things coming out. The Warmogs is coming out from Steel, getting the passive to proc just off of the Cinderhulk and the Warmogs, meaning that he'll be healthy for very long periods of time. Not really going to have to do anything. Evie just using this opportunity to get a couple of auto attacks in on the turret. And that's, I mean, it looks silly, but it'll add up, and that's exactly what Rampage is playing for right now. Gonna let Tristana scale up quite a bit as they just apply pressure around the map. Evie is gonna start up this blue buff here, and probably take it right now, because if they move to take it back, Yutori's just gonna blow up this turret, and that's exactly what he does.
Yeah. Even though Detonation Focus Me has solid wave clear, they are still constricted in the corner of their map. They don't really have the resources to contest their either quarters of their jungle, and as objectives continue to spawn, in the river with the Baron as well as the Dragon, if all things remain the same as they are now, Detonation Focus Me will lose. It's just a very, very long and slow road to get there. Rampage needs to play it safe. They need to play it smart. And Detonation Focus Me really needs to adapt and make an initiation happen. Force a fight, even if it's not the best, with Steel or perhaps with Paz's ultimate.
Yeah, they're finding out Vivid a little bit here, but I really, really don't like the team composition that Detonation Focus Me has drafted. Because once it falls behind, yeah, they have a lot of initiation tools. They have Vivid's Alistar, they have Steel's ultimate, and they have Paz. They have a lot of tools to get in and stay in, but the way that their team fights is trying to fight backwards. They rely on being ahead because they have so many things that they leave on the ground. Paz has his saplings, Saros has the time bombs, and Utapone has the feathers. They all want to be able to build up during the middle of a fight and have a fight stay in one place. But Rampage has plenty of tools to move that fight around, to move around all these little landmines that Detonation Focus Me will be placing. And when you have to move forward through the landmines, you're able to play one way, but when you're able to just move around them, it's very different. And right now, Detonation Focus Me needs to see an overcommittal by Rampage. But we've seen Rampage play this style before. Ended up being a 50-minute game of them just slowly strangling out the game because they know that Detonation Focus Me cannot engage.
I want to point out a sort of smart thing that Rampage is doing that maybe not a lot of people would notice at the start. Typically at this stage of the game, it's good to do a 1-3-1, but Rampage specifically is always putting Evie in the bottom lane. And normally you would expect, a top laner to go into the top lane, maybe push that down. But there's two reasons why you want Evie in the bottom lane. The first is that anytime that a dragon spawns, he can secure that by himself, no problem, as long as the rest of the team is securing vision in the middle and threatening Baron. The second thing is, as he continues to scale up, he will slowly, glacially be able to push down this bottom tier turret. And the bottom inhibitor is the furthest away from Baron.
Oh, Tussel's
so it's the
going
best
in.
one to take.
Big fight going on right here. Potentially Tussle gets stunned up. There's plenty of CC available. Here comes the quickness. They're going to be a big fight. Steel's taking a lot of damage. Here comes Evie on the backside. Steel's already taking a lot, but here comes Paz on the other side. Tussle still does not have his ultimate available. They finally bring down a bunch of health bars. Steel does not get brought down through the Zillion ultimate. Paz is on the wrong side. Evie's just trying to move forward, and they're not able to find any kills quite yet. Paz will slowly go down. It looks like last bit of damage comes out from Ramune, but that is huge. Saros does have his flash available. He's forced on the wrong side. Dar misses the grand entrance. This is a very slow fight. This is what Detonation Focus Me wanted, but the Zillion ult did not find its target. Nobody went down until Paz finally did, and that means that you don't have a sixth member of your team to play with. And right now, Rampage is going to move directly towards the Baron and go back to base.
Well, it's an interesting decision. They could. Ooh, Vivid
could be going down. A lot of damage going out, and the blown up. You see him throw up his hands, just knowing he did not need to be there at that time. But hindsight is 20/20, my friend. And with two members down, Rampage is going to actually look at the Baron right here. Ramune is going to take the long way around. Steel is here with the smite available. A 50-50 is potentially available. Saros does have his ultimate back up already, but here comes Ramune around the side, doing plenty of damage. And look at how much he's able to do with that Trinity Force. Here comes Yutori over the side, doing tons of damage to Steel. Ultimate does come out. They'll have another chance to try and keep going at this. Evie is still on the Baron, but they're going to be able to bring him down a second time. Cataclysm does dunking, but so much damage is going down onto Dara as Utapon finally finds his way around. Saros picks up another one with a time bomb. No red buff on Saros means that he's not going to be taking down. Romney is going to go down as well. Here comes Paz. Paz is trying to find a little bit more onto another member. And that long fight coming out from Detonation Focus Me means that Rampage cannot finish the Baron.
Wow, what a crazy series of events there. Rampage had such a commanding lead in that moment. You know, they had killed 2 members with both Vivid down and another member of Detonation Focus Me. Now, with the numbers advantage and the teleport available, Detonation Focus Me looking to support and take down this Baron with
Yeah,
4 members here.
neither jungler is up. Romney will have his teleport, but he's still dead for 15 seconds. Evie's going to come in, slowed down so much by Saris, and there comes all the CC trying to find his way onto Evie. Dara and Yutori can't get in. Evie's just 1v4 right now, but nobody's throwing damage at him. Utapon's taking a lot of damage from the Baron, turning it around and hitting Paz a little bit, and they're splitting up the team fight, and that's what they need to do. Romney has his ultimate available, does pick up the package as well. He's zooming around right now. Oh, beautiful pillar, preventing Utapon from going anywhere. But Romney is still nowhere nearby. With the teleport available, he can be there very quickly, trying to find his way towards the fight. And it's taken too long for DFM. They're going to have to cede this right away. No Featherstorm available for Utapon for this fight if they were to take it right now. And Rampage is going to be able to push up in the mid lane, and with a little bit of an inside track, they're going to be putting pressure in both the top and the mid lane. Ramune is going to head down towards the bottom line, still with the teleport available. Tussling again with Steel, just getting the stun right up as he is now starting to move towards a more defensive build.
Yeah, Rampage able to make it to the Baron in time to stop the Detonation Focus Me aggression, and both teams have to sit back and take stock of the game. Rampage has increased their lead up to an 8,000 gold lead through the series of skirmishes. Have not let up on the jungle pressure, but Detonation Focus Me, they see Ramune in the bottom lane. They're looking to take down this Baron.
Yeah, he has the teleport available. Saris is around the side, keeping Yutori and Dara out of the fight. Evie and Tussle don't have the damage. Ramune's already picked up the turret in the bot lane, but they're doing this so slowly. They don't have a lot of damage. They have 3 tanks, and Saros needs to use his bombs elsewhere. Utapon does have the crits. He does jump over the wall, does not have the flash available. Here comes Ramune. He has the package available. Big fight coming out. Dara's going in. Utapon's taking so much damage. They're going to have to use the ultimate on him. Time Winder is not coming out. They don't get it on the right target. Steel is the one who has it, and he's nowhere near low health. Vivid tries to go and tries to get a little bit of damage, but the carries are already dead. DFM is routed, and there's nowhere left for them to go. Ramune and Yutori are going to get the last bit of damage right here. Evie's teleporting down to the bot lane. Pick up the inhibitor right now. Dara and Tussle should be able to pick this up onto Paz so slowly, but Evie's going to go for the end of the game. They just need to keep him away. There's 30 seconds on the death timers for everybody right now, and Evie can end the game by himself. We already see Yutori and the rest of Rampage turning towards the Baron with no threat coming out from the rest of Detonation Focus Me. That was disaster.
Yeah, what a tragedy for Detonation. Indecision really, really punishing them there. They felt like they could take down this Baron, but like you said, you know, going back to Champion Select, their team doesn't do a whole lot of damage. And it's so difficult for them to make that call. They end up getting completely surrounded by Rampage. And then even though, you know, they have the even terms, like they have a 5v4 for a few seconds while Ramune is teleporting in, that should give them advantage. The magic resistance and armor shred that the Baron provides actually puts them at a huge disadvantage in the team fight. You can see right when this starts off, Evie, Tussle, and Ramune from the side are going to absolutely chunk out Saros as soon as the teleport completes, as this fight goes in. Dara gets a huge CC chain. Utapon takes up the entire brunt of the Baron damage and just absolutely melted. And then from there, it's just a quick cleanup because Detonation Focus Me has no damage left available to them. As soon as Saros and Utapon are gone, they just cannot win any fights.
And we just saw that's the second time in a row that Utapon was the one tanking up the Baron for almost its entirety. And that's crushing them down because he's the one who needs to do the damage. They've built an entire team composition built around protecting the Zarya and letting it carry them through these fights. But it's not even taking damage from the opponents. It's just a small positioning error by the rest of the team. They're on the Baron, but they're leaving their ADC to tank it. And it's not going, and we're seeing the results of it right now. Currently 15,000 gold behind at the 34-minute mark, and this is even more difficult than it was in last game when we saw them do a good job at bringing it back. But this is much later in the game. We already see the base broken, moving on 2 inhibitor turrets at the same time, and Evi's picked up a guardian angel as well.
Yeah, Evie, very, very one-man army by himself. Look at that. He doesn't care about turrets. What are turrets? Meanwhile, Tussle and Ramune happy to pick up the top lane as we get into this fight right here.
Ramune does have to use the QSS right here, going right in. Steel and a bunch of people are on top of Ramune, but he's able to get out. Utapon's caught in so many members, has to use the Featherstorm right away. Saros does get the ultimate on him correctly this time, but he's already routed. There's no tank line to defend him anymore. He's going to get knocked up by Tussle right there. They find another kill on him, and there's no damage left here for Detonation Focus Me. Evie flashes forward, trying to find his way into Saros, but they're just going to be able to knock down the Nexus turrets, go up 2-1 in this game. And DFM, what are you going to do? Because you have something to answer for. That did not work. We see another kill coming out 14-4 as they finally get the last hits on the Nexus. 2-1 to Rampage.
Wow. Well played by Rampage, able to execute and really precisely punish the weaknesses in the drafting phase that Detonation Focus Me opened themselves up to. You know, they had this incredibly tanky front line, but when you don't have any damage to support that front line, it all just sort of falls apart. And that's exactly what we saw there. Utapon and Saros not able to do enough damage. I don't feel like the Zillion was the best pick there. If you're gonna pick three very powerful, three very powerful tanky frontline champions, you need a carry in the middle lane. You can't have a supportive mid lane champion, something like a Cassiopeia or like an Azir or something. You know, some late game powerful, strong damage, consistent damage output would have been much stronger for Detonation Focus Me. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case for them. Rampage will go up in the series 2-1. We'll be right back with game number 4 in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.